Before we get going, I'll just introduce myself real quick. My name's Elly. I am an instructional designer here at Synthesia. My job is both to teach people about the platform, but also think about how can it be used well in training scenarios. So specifically, my thing is making training videos. Even if you're not in the training realm, this is still going to be super useful for you today. We're going to focus on some training use cases, but really this is true no matter what kind of video you're trying to make. And so my background is not in video design. My background is in education, and I wanted to work with video and I had to learn how to make it. And I used to do it the hard way, and I'll tell you about that. And now I'm doing it the much more easy way here with Synthesia. And I also have a helper on the call today. I have Clement. Clement, do you just want to intro yourself real quick and tell people who you are?
Sure. So Clement, I'm Customer Success Manager at Synthesia. Basically, I help customers reach their objectives around content creation and with Synthesia.
I do have one final ask of you, which is, if you're interested in what you saw today and you're thinking, I would like to dive deeper into this, we have one precious hour together, so I can't do all of it together. I am going to go ahead and drop into the chat our website page that is specifically for learning and design, but if that's not your use case, that's okay. This is a place where you can learn a little bit more about how people are making great videos for learning situations. And then I also want to point out that we have an Intro to Synthesia course where you can see us demo some of these features a little bit more intensely and spend a little more time, so you can kind of learn them at your own pace. And so I will send both of these to you right now. If you're interested in seeing more, having some one-on-one time, please go ahead and hit that book a demo button, and we'll get in touch with you as soon as we can. And then I'll also send you this little Intro to Synthesia so you can check it out and see some of these features a little bit more in depth at your own pace. So our mission is really two things. The first is to show you how Synthesia can help you overcome some of your biggest obstacles, but also just show you how you can get from an idea to a video in about 15 minutes. I'm going to show you something that I made. It didn't take a ton of time, and I'm going to show you how quickly I was able to put that together. So before we do that, I do want to talk a little bit about those obstacles that we were facing. And I'm going to share my own, but before we do, I'm going to actually run a poll so we can kind of see all together what it is that we're collectively struggling with. And so this question is just about what your biggest obstacle in video creation is right now. So just go ahead and take a second to kind of answer this. What's the hardest thing for you in making video right now? Is it the expense or the time spent making the video, either internally or externally? Is it the difficulty of writing good scripts? Is it the limited video editing and design skills you or your team might have? Is it the energy that it takes to make content in multiple languages? I know we had somebody say they're making content in 22 languages. Is it the effort it takes, to gather feedback and work collaboratively? Or is it managing your content once you've actually made it? Is it actually not the video creation process, but the management process? So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to answer this one. I know that I've had to pull my hair about all of these different things at one point or another. They've each been a problem. For me personally, it's my design skills. I had to learn a lot of visual design in order to become a good video designer. And so that's been an obstacle for me. And then also managing my content. As an instructional designer, it feels like as soon as I put my content out there, it's already outdated. So, these are things that I've personally struggled with, but there's a lot of stuff that makes video design kind of difficult. And so I can see a lot of you have answered this. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and actually end the poll and show it to you so we can all see kind of these results, but we're kind of split across the board. And I'm excited to see that because it makes me feel better about the fact that I've struggled with multiple things. Let's go ahead and see it here. You can see the one that kind of is the biggest is the design skills, and I agree. I said that one's really, really hard for me. But we've got a lot of people who are also struggling, with the time and the energy and the money it takes to do this stuff. And so I think that this is all you're not alone in this. You're not the only person who's struggling with this stuff. And that's kind of what we're here to talk about today, is these obstacles and how we can potentially overcome them using Synthesia. And so I'm going to stop sharing the poll. Thank you guys all for jumping in and doing that. And instead, what I'm going to do is tell you a little more about my obstacles. And so I'll just show you a very funny picture and give you a little story about my background. And so this is actually a picture of me in my home recording studio in 2020. And you might be wondering, Elly, how did you get here? So I was an instructional designer at a big university in the United States. And when COVID hit, I had a pretty gigantic obstacle thrown in my way, which was that all of my courses and all of my content that had been, mostly instructor-led courses in person, or hard copies of manuals and things for technical training for employees, suddenly needed to be something people could access everywhere. And so what was the most obvious way to do that? We need to make a ton of video really, really fast. The problem was I didn't have any access to my normal video creation tools. I didn't have a studio. I didn't even have the software licenses. Those were all on were all on desktops back at the university. I was suddenly there without any tools. And so this is how I coped. I had to throw a blanket over my head, buy a Yeti mic, and try to do my best voiceovers with the tools that I had. And we did it, we all got through it the way that, everybody did, but I had to upskill really fast, meaning I wasn't spending a ton of time learning how to do this. And I had to, kind of do this with the limited resources I had. It was DIY city, just extremely challenging. And, I made it and it was okay, but it wasn't exactly elegant. And frankly, the content that I was making wasn't exactly great looking, and it aged poorly. We ended up having to replace all of it within about 6 months. And then we did it again 6 months later, just because we worked in tech, stuff was changing so fast, my videos were aging really poorly. And it was a huge effort every single time to go back and recreate a voiceover, do my screen recordings again, be on camera again. It just was spending a ton of time on this, which is not, my background, not my strong suit. And so I've been where you guys are. I've been in these situations of having to make this content, of having to, build something without a whole lot, or, use really expensive processes or really expensive equipment to do something I'm not necessarily great at. And so that's kind of why I want to tell you about these obstacles that I've faced, I've dealt with, and kind of figure out how, we can overcome those using Synthesia. I'm excited to show you how Synthesia has kind of made me never have to hide under a blanket with a Yeti mic ever again. And I'm thrilled about it. And so let's go ahead and talk about the first obstacle, which is really that making great video requires expensive equipment. In my past life, it did. I had to buy professional grade headphones, a mic, a professional camera. I had to have multiple pieces of software that I was using to edit things. And I wasn't even doing like studio style video. I was just doing screen recording. So if you need to do something where you have a studio, you've got to book studio time. You've got to get big professional cameras, big professional lights. There's a lot of stuff that goes into making really nice looking talking head video. And so that is one thing that we've kind of been able to overcome here. And really, that is what we're using Synthesia for, is that text to voice and avatars make studio time a thing of the past. I have not opened my Yeti mic. It is collecting dust in a closet somewhere. I haven't opened it in 2 years now. And so this is now something that I'm able to do right in my browser. And so let me show you real quick what I'm talking about when I talk about these Synthesia videos and kind of what we're making. We're going to go ahead and watch this one together. And I'm just going to tell you before I show you, there was no studio time booked to make this video. This person never actually read these lines specifically. We were able to make this in my browser this afternoon without ever having met this delightful person who's going to narrate it all for you. And so let's go ahead and watch it together. And while we're watching it, feel free to drop it in the chat and just mention things that you notice or things that you're thinking about as you watch it, anything that might grab your attention, or any questions that kind of come up. So let's go ahead and see what this studio-free video creation can make.
Hey everyone, it's Jordan, your head of cybersecurity, here to shed some light on the dark world of malware. Our company has already installed anti-malware software on your devices, but it's still essential to be vigilant. Let's dive in and learn how to keep our digital domain safe from these pesky invaders and understand why it's crucial for our business growth and future. Malware, short for malicious software, is designed to infiltrate, damage, or steal data from your devices. Detecting and preventing malware is vital for our business, and it has several significant implications. First, downtime. Malware can disrupt business operations, causing costly downtime that can harm productivity and revenue. Second, data breaches. Malware can lead to data breaches, jeopardizing sensitive customer and company information. Third, financial loss. The cost of recovering from a malware attack can be significant, including lost revenue, IT expenses, and potential fines or lawsuits. Lastly, trust. A strong security posture helps build trust with customers, partners, and stakeholders, ensuring our commitment to safeguarding their data. Now, let's learn how to identify suspected malware and report it. Detecting malware can be tricky, but there are some red flags to look out for. Unusual pop-ups or ads. Unexplained changes to settings or files. Unexpected crashes or freezes. If you notice any of these signs, it's possible your device has been compromised despite the installed security software. In the unfortunate event you suspect a malware attack, follow these steps. First, disconnect your device from the internet to prevent further damage. Then run a thorough scan with your installed security software. Also, report the issue to the security team immediately. Remember, staying vigilant and proactive in the fight against malware is crucial to keeping our digital world safe and enabling our business to thrive. Thanks for watching, and may your devices remain malware-free.
Awesome. So that is a video that I made this afternoon about malware training. It's not the most exciting stuff in the world, right? Like, malware software is not something that I get excited about teaching about. It's a tricky thing to do. But when I can use a video to like bring that to life, it becomes a lot easier to do. And so I'm seeing some great comments in here, super wonderful. People talking about the avatar pairing. We'll talk about how we kind of achieved that, which is great. I can see Adam has made some comments here to us, which indicate to me that you understand our FOCA framework. I'm not going to mention that a whole lot today, but I'm excited to know that you're seeing those things. And so a lot of great questions kind of starting to come in about all of this. And I'm going to show you how we built this, because you might be thinking, you might be looking at that and going, Elly, I've never made a video that looks this good. I don't know how to do visual design like that. I'm not a great video designer. There's a lot of animation. There's so much going on. And my secret here is that neither can I. This is not me. I am not great at this. What made me look so good is actually Synthesia and all those tools that we have available. So I'm going to show you how we kind of built this entire thing from scratch. And so that's our next kind of obstacle that gets in the way of good video creation, which is that video design is a challenging skill to master. And this isn't like a myth. This is really true. We have a team of video designers here, and they are some of the most talented people I've ever met. They have skills that are just beyond me, and they've mastered all sorts of different tools and things to be good at that. And I respect that in a massive way. And it's actually their work that I get to kind of build off of, because I'm not mastering video design here. I'm actually leveraging the tools that Studio has available to you, because Studio comes with all the tools you need to make stunning looking videos. This isn't, me learning how to do balanced text design and things like that. This is me actually leveraging what's in Studio. And so I've kind of been alluding to Studio a whole lot, but let me go ahead and actually show you what it is that I'm talking about here. In Synthesia Studio. So some of you obviously are users, which is fantastic. You've seen this space before, but for those of you who are new to Synthesia, I just want to take a second and kind of show you around a little bit. I'm not going to get too much into this homepage. We'll come back to it later when we kind of get to the end of making our video. What I really want to do is kind of just point out what you're seeing here, which is videos I've already created. These live down here, the one that we just saw. And then also some different templates are living up here. And we'll talk a lot about the templates. These come into play anytime you make a new video. And starting a new video is simple. You just go to the bright blue new video button, click on that, and what's going to happen is it's going to pop up that template library for you to be able to browse and start your video from a template, which I think is just a great way to do this. Our video designers have built all these, our design team has made these, and they're really meant to be able to work with any use case. We've got hundreds of them. If you kind of go further back, you'll see that we have some kind of colorful looking ones. This one's kind of purpley and soft. And then we've got, even, softer color ones, very friendly looking. bright ones with lots of shapes, but then we've also got some that are kind of more professional, subtle, laid back. I use this one, the content marketing video, all the time. I really like this layout. And you'll see, this might look a little familiar to you. This is the template that I built my video from today. And if I click on it, you're going to see a preview of every single scene available to you in this template. And that's what we call these different layouts as scenes. And so this is what I'm using to build my video. And so it's really simple to go in and start building from this. All you need to do is hit use this template. It's going to bring you into the builder, and this is Synthesia Studio. And so this is what is going to make you look so good when you make videos. And there's kind of two pieces to our video creation process, and I'm going to take them one at a time. The first is the canvas here. This is what we're going to talk about first, the visual design element of it. And then also down here, we have the script, which we'll come back to in just a minute. So this is how we kind of arrange our video, and scenes are composed of different elements. Obviously, we have our avatars, text, shapes, things like that. We're seeing all of the different elements that you can kind of edit in here. And it's really just a rich text editor or rich editor, just like a PowerPoint. So it's really easy to come in here and change it. But how do you kind of string these together? Well, over here on the left-hand side, you can see it gave me an opening slide, which is really, really good. But I can actually choose more scenes to kind of build my content out here. I'm just going to take a second and kind of arrange things the way that I did when I built my video. And you can see I can choose different arrangements here depending on the kind of information I'm trying to present. And so here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull the avatar in for my second scene. She's going to kind of be centered here. I can go ahead and give that definition that we saw where I described malware, add that in. I've got a place for text. I've got these different ones that allow me to show lists, and I've got different options. These are kind of more statistics based. Here's something that's kind of just a list out. I've got different topics. I'm going to go ahead and choose what works for me and just snap these scenes together, and these string together to kind of become your video. And I'm just going to take a second here to set myself up to demo stuff for you by adding things in. But it's really this simple to go ahead and pull these in. And so I'll show you kind of how they work once I've got them a little bit better arranged here. But it's really as simple as kind of snapping these scenes together. If you have a personal plan, you're going to have 10 scenes available to you. But if you've got an enterprise plan, you can add as many as you need in order to tell the story that you're working to tell today. And one of my favorite things is like there are little details in here that make a huge difference, such as this last scene here that we end the video on. Like that's a really polished technique that I would not think to do if I was making videos by myself. And so with 9 scenes, I'm kind of able to tell this entire story here. And you'll see once I'm in here, it's really simple to go ahead and edit this. So I can just go ahead and start typing things in. So we can say, you know, malware 101, whatever the title of my video is. I can go ahead and I can change out images. So I could change this to be a different logo. I can take things off that don't serve me just by selecting them and deleting them. These are very flexible while also being very, very professional looking. And so it's really, really simple to do this. You'll see as we kind of get into other scenes, these are actually just shapes that we've dropped in. You can see we've got text and shapes up here. So you can add in your own text and shapes if you're interested, making it really easy to build on top of this. If this color scheme does not work for you, if you're not a green company, it's really, really simple to update these to be your brand. So in this case, I can go ahead and I can select a blue here. And it's going to change this one color, but then if I hit change all, it's actually going to change all of these, and it's going to change any other shape that was that color in my entire video. So bringing these up to your brand, super simple. You don't have to spend all this time and energy being a good visual designer. Studio's really going to give you those options. And the other thing that's also here is that you can lean on other media. It's not just text and shapes. We also have a media library where you can insert anything from videos and images, which we've got from Shutterstock, to GIFs if you want to be kind of cute with it. We have used a lot of these in the past and they're super fun. And then icons. I use these all the time to add just like a little visual thrill to my content, and it makes things so simple. So instead of having to go out and source all this content and bring it into your editor, It's built right in here. And the best part is you can always add your own video, your own images. And so I think somebody had asked that. You can always add your own content here. So if your brand or your company already has some footage that really works for you, you can go ahead and put this in. Headshots of your team, great to add in, things like that, really, really useful. And then the last thing I'll show you in terms of adding media is you can also do screen recording. So if you had something that you wanted to show and share, you can actually screen record it right into Studio instead of doing that in a separate tool and bringing it in. So, you know, we talked about all those tools that the video editors are using. They're using screen capture tools. They're using image editing tools. They're using video editing tools. And we've tried to bring all of those right into the system, which is fantastic. And then the last important piece about updating the visual tone of your script is, or the visual tone of your video is your avatar, right? So we saw her. She came in with the template, but this actually wasn't the one who was in my video, right? Changing your avatar is just as easy as changing any script or any other element of your video, any of the text or any of the colors. You can just come into our avatar library and you can pick your own avatar. We use Janine, and if I hit Janine here and then I hit Natalie to Janine change all, you'll see now Janine is in my entire video. And so she's going to work for this. But the other thing that is also available is you can actually make your own custom avatar. So if I wanted to, I could use my avatar to present this content, and this is going to work really nicely for my brand. So we've got different avatars to suit different things. I think Janine is great because she looks very professional. I trust her. But then we've got other avatars who are better suited for different situations. For instance, if I can find them, we have avatars in very casual clothes. Alicia is wearing just sweaters. She's great for kind of, you know, different more laid back topics. We've used her for things like nutrition coaching and things like that. We also have people in kind of like buttoned up, I think of this as kind of the Blockbuster polo to kind of make them look very corporate in that moment. We've got Maya, she's very like cute and fun. And we've also got things that are a little more specific. We've got Santa, we've got pilots, we've got police officers, we've got chefs, we've got people who really suit whatever the topic is for you, and updating them is very, very simple. So this is, you know, a really, really simple, easy to edit layout, which makes it so easy to make nice looking content. You start with these templates, you fill in your pieces, and you're going to end up with something that looks really, really nice. And so the other part of Studio that, oh, and I will also mention that we don't leave you alone with this, right? I don't just tell you like, here's a template, go have fun with it. We actually coach people on this. So this is the other part of the Synthesia ecosystem is if you are starting to get going in here, if you start using Synthesia, we actually do sessions on this. I actually did a session last week about video design for non-designers. How do you do good visual design? How do you pick the right visuals for your script? So we'll help coach you on this. I'm not going to get into this today. I just want to show you kind of the product a little bit more, but this is, you know, you're not getting left alone in the tool. We have a whole academy full of content like this. The other thing that we train on, and the other thing that you probably noticed at this point, is actually the script down here in the bottom. So we coach people on how to write good scripts for good video. And so this is the other obvious part of your video. And so this actually ends up, it's something that people mentioned. Script writing is really challenging. It can be tricky to do. And so this is actually another obstacle that we talk about. Script writing is really difficult, and localizing content is also, you know, something that can be a big challenge. And somebody mentioned they're making content in 22 different languages. That's especially hard. But in addition to having so many different avatars, our avatars can actually speak 120 plus languages, and we have AI to help you with this process. And so let me show you real quick kind of what I'm talking about when I say that. Script writing is really, you know, a kind of a tricky thing. And I mentioned that I'm not going to get into coaching you on how to write a script today. But if you have, you know, a script, this is going to be a great place for this is going to be a really easy process for you if you're writing great scripts. And so if you have content lying around already, if you've already written you know, user manuals, or you've already got talking points that, you know, you use in in-person classes, or that you use in meetings with clients, those are the kind of things that we can help build a script out of. And so in this case, what we were doing was trying to define malware, and then we turned it into kind of this cinematic, engaging style script where they introduce themselves. We have a lot of tips and tricks for this. Somebody called this out. We usually are using hooks and calls to action in our videos. Today, I veered away from that a little bit, but we have all sorts of tips on how to do this well. And once you have your script, bringing it to life in Synthesia is really easy. And so I'm just going to show you how easy this is. You'll see from the video I just started building, there is some placeholder script here. This is talking about the template, which is, nice, but it's obviously not what's going to be in the final version. All I need to do is paste in that script that I wrote, and now this is going to be what she narrates when I publish the video. I'll show you kind of what this sounds like right now. First thing I'll point out before I show you is it actually detected that this is in English, and it picked a voice for her based on the language. And so it picked a Great British English voice. And so when I hit play, that's what you're going to hear, is it knew immediately that this is something that should be in this language. The other thing I'll point out before I preview this is she's actually not going to animate here. The animation happens after we generate the video, so her coming to life. And that is basically what our magic behind the scenes is matching this script with her face and making it look very lifelike when she speaks. And so that happens, and it takes a little while, but while we're building our video, we can kind of hear what it sounds like.
Hey everyone. It's Jordan, your head of cybersecurity, here to shed some light on the dark world of malware.
And so you might look at that and think, wow, that's good. The voice sounds really nice. I think that one works pretty well. But there are things that might not work about this for you. First of all, she might mispronounce a word. And so I want to point out a couple of the features that are in here. Say she was mispronouncing cybersecurity and saying it kind of as one word. I can use the diction feature here to actually type in phonetically what I would like her to say, or to add in pauses that make it easier for us to kind of understand her as she goes. So you're not stuck with whatever the script ends up sounding like in that voice. You can always finesse it a little more. This is really helpful if you're using another language and need to insert English words into it. This can be a great way to do that, or you're using acronyms, things like that. So the script is really flexible too. You're not just stuck with whatever she ends up saying. The other thing is you can add pauses. If you feel like she's rushing, or you just want another beat to provide some emphasis, you can just drop your cursor in, hit pause, and it's going to automatically insert 1 second, but we could go ahead and do something like 0.5, shorten that up just to give ourselves some breathing room. So you have flexibility in the script writing as well. The other thing I want to point out here though, is that this is actually where this is where our animation comes from. And so this, instead of having a timeline, you may have noticed I do have a timeline here because there's a video happening in the background, but we don't edit on our timeline. We link all of our animations directly to the script. And so, hey everyone, it's Jordan. This might be where I want that marker to come in and animate. And so I can drop in a marker, and then I can find the thing that I want to animate here. Let's go ahead and bring in our title. And I can go ahead and use the animation pane here to bring this in on the marker. And so now this marker and that piece of text are linked to each other. And if I preview this again, you'll see.
Hey everyone. Jordan, your head of cybersecurity, here to shed some light on the dark.
And I think there's actually also, this is my fault, there's actually a delay on this. So it did enter, but there's a 1 second delay on the animation. So she came in a little late, but let's watch it one more time.
Hey everyone. It's Jordan, your head of cybersecurity, here to shed some light on the dark world of.
And so that's going to bring it in when it hits that animation marker. I'm going to show you a little bit better why this is such a big deal, why this is so exciting. And I'm going to build out this bulleted list. You can see I've actually already got 3 markers in here, and I'm going to bring in my script. Let's see, that is here. Let's use this little bit here, so we're not doing too much. And I'm going to show you how easy it is. Right now, I'm going to preview what this looks like with a bullet list, and then I'm going to show you how these adjust when I rebuild my script with the markers.
Here you have a bullet point scene. Use the markers function to show the first, second, and third point when it is mentioned.
And so those are all coming in at the right time. To use my template, really, really well. I can actually just leave these here, paste in my new script, bring my little markers down to the right places in my list, take out the old script, and now these are going to animate in. And if I want to really build this entire scene, you know, it's really simple. I can just go ahead and drop in pieces of my script that match this, that come in. Super easy, right? So without really doing any building, I've already got a list here. Oh, goodness. That's animating based on what I've done here. And so now we can see, instead of being tied to a time, instead of having to time out when
In
these
the
come
unfortunate event you suspect a malware attack, follow these steps. Disconnect your device from the internet to prevent further damage. Run a thorough scan with your installed security software.
Because those markers were already linked to these elements, they automatically come in when she speaks. And this is amazing because I could go ahead and, you know, quadruple what she says here. And it's just going to change when these come in. So we can edit and have that flexibility in our script without having to change things. If you've ever worked with traditional timeline editing software, if one sentence in your script changes, it all falls apart. You've got to edit everything and it just takes a ton of time. So markers are huge, and it's amazing because we can actually do this in multiple languages. So right now we don't offer translation services, but if you've got a colleague who can help you with the translation like I do, I had my German colleague help me with this today, and he gave me the German version of this. I'll show you how quickly I can localize this same scene into German. And you're going to see as I get into it, German sentences are just longer. That's just how German works. And you'll see, you know, this is disconnect your device. This one comes out about the same, but the second sentence is much longer in German, right? Instead of having to adjust everything, all I need to do is bring those little tags down to the right place again. Whoops. Be easier if I spoke German and knew exactly what that said. I can go ahead and do this. What's going to happen is Synthesia immediately detects that this is in German now, changes the voice to a German voice, and I can go ahead and hit play.
Im unglücklichen Fall, dass ihr einen Malwareangriff vermutet, befolgt diese Schritte. Trennt euer Gerät vom Internet, um weiteren Schaden zu verhindern. Führt eine gründliche Prüfung.
And now I've localized my content without actually changing much of anything. I've just changed the script. Her voice sounds natural again. And if you don't believe me, I'll actually show you real quick. We made the German version of this. And the same woman who you saw in the original version, she speaks fluent German now too.
Hallo zusammen. Hier ist Jordan, euer Leiter für Cybersicherheit, etwas Licht in die dunkle Welt der Malware zu bringen.
And so I made both of these videos this afternoon. Normally making 2 videos in, 2 languages would take me days, but this is just so much easier because we're not using those timelines. We're not building this content in timelines. We're building it with these really, really nice markers, which make it really easy to kind of get our work done. And so this is, one of the other obstacles that just takes so long to work with is, overcoming scripting and animation based on, that's meant to track with your script. Now you don't need to spend so much time with that. And you can instead, focus on making sure your content is great and putting out those localized versions faster for everybody. So everything just works a little bit faster. And so now we've built our video, right? So this is obviously not fully done and it's a little mixed. Sometimes she's speaking English, sometimes she's speaking German, but you can see how in just a few minutes I've managed to kind of bring this together pretty fast. And so now I need to show it to my coworkers. And in the past, this was always a part that I absolutely dreaded because showing people, your work is really, really tricky, and getting feedback from people on your team can feel almost impossible, right? So I would make a video and it'd be living in my editor and I'd have to download the MP4, which would take forever. And then I would need to go ahead and send it out to them. And then my email inbox would explode with like 6 teammates giving me feedback with like time markers and trying to collate all that and do it it was really exhausting. And then somebody, of course, would be like, I want to insert one sentence here. And I'd be like, that changes everything. And that's 2 days of work. So getting feedback was exhausting. We already know that the inserting a sentence isn't hard, but can I solve the feedback problem? Well, workspaces and sharing makes collaboration super duper easy in Synthesia. And so I'm actually just going to show you real quick how simple this is. And Clement's going to help me out a little bit. I have the final version of my video, right? So it's here. Right now, it is in my videos. I'm the only person who can see this. It's restricted to me, even though everybody at Synthesia technically works with me. This one's kind of private, something I'm working on alone. They can't see it right now. What I can do, I have 2 different options for getting input, is I can actually share this directly to Clement or anybody else that I want to see it. Oops, I just type in his name and it's going to bring up his email. And I can go ahead and invite him. And I said he could have full access. So the idea here is he could come in and actually tinker with the video and make changes himself. So that's super easy. But there's also the option to just let him comment. So if I don't want him to break anything, I could say, just comment on it, let me know what that looks like or what you think. And so you'll see actually in just a second, he's going to be able to go into the video as it comes into his shared space, and he's going to be able to comment on the video and let me know if something's working or not working. And so let's see if I refresh it, if we've got any comments yet. But this is amazing because we can collaborate like in real time. You'll see I get a notification here. It tells me I've got a note here. You might want to change the pronunciation in 1.5 minutes. And I can see if I click on this comment, actually, where is it? If I click on 112, it's actually going to take me directly to the moment where he's talking about, he's like, this isn't right. We need to change this. And I can now go in and edit and know exactly what it is he's trying to get me to do. And I can share this with him, or I can actually move this video into my workspace. And then everybody in the company is going to be able to see it and edit it and help me with it. And so it's really nice to be able to do this. You can see if I go into my shared with me, these are videos that my colleagues have shared with me. So I can go in and either comment or work with them on it. And so we can manage our content. Or I can go into our workspace. You can see there's all these folders and spaces for us to kind of keep our stuff relatively organized, do as we say, not as we do. We're just as susceptible to the chaos of folder naming, but yeah, everybody can see my work in here, which is fantastic. It just makes life so much easier. And so collaborating just gets so much faster and easier, and I absolutely love it. And in the near future, what's going to happen is actually we're going to be able to work on the same video at the same time. Just like a Google Doc, we're going to be able to go ahead and jump in there and collaborate together, which is just going to make stuff even faster. We're never stepping on anybody's toes. Stuff is really, really good. And so I get my feedback from my colleagues, right? I integrate what I need to do. My video is now done. Let's go ahead and look at, this is my final video. We'll say, okay, yeah, we got that taken care of. I can dismiss the note. I've got my video all done. Now I need to send it out into the world. And I said this at the beginning, but this is something that I personally have dreaded in the past because I was making so many videos, like short videos showing very small processes in a database system. And if anything changed, I had to go ahead and update it, which meant I had to go find it in my learning management system and hope that nobody was in the course at the time, take it out, put a new one in. And it was always just so tedious. And stuff just would start to age badly because nobody's 100% on top of keeping their content up to date. It takes time to do this work, and then it takes time to implement the changes. And so it's always just managing our content is kind of exhausting, right? I think some of you mentioned this, like it's just tricky when you've got so much content, especially if you're making these very short videos. And so that kind of brings us to our next thing, which is my video content is outdated as soon as it's published, right? Like as soon as you put it out, somebody changes an acronym or somebody updates the mission statement, or we go with a new rebrand. I once produced a course that consisted of 15 videos, and 2 weeks after we launched it, it had taken 6 months to make. There was other stuff in it too, not just video. They completely redid the color scheme for the entire program. And I was just like defeated. It was so hard. But this now, is the challenge, is if your video content ages, what do you do about it? Well, Synthesia has acknowledged this, and we've introduced versioning and embedding, which means that your content stays fresh. And I'm not going to get super into this. I just want to show you real quick kind of what the options are. You have 3 options really when it comes to sharing your content out into the world. The first is that you can always just download an MP4. great, classic, upload it on YouTube, upload it on Vimeo, wherever it is you host content, super easy, right? Download, upload. You also have the option to actually send your content out into the world. And so we do this using a share page. And so you can turn your video on to be public, and you can copy the link to it and send this out to people. And now anybody who has the link is going to be able to see it hosted on our site. And you can actually write a little description and even put a button in here. So you can make pages specifically for this. And this can actually be branded for your company, which is really cool. So this is an option too, to just have its own page. And this is really, really easy. Also, if you have other colleagues who use Synthesia, they can duplicate the video from here, which is pretty cool. But the other thing that I wanted to show you that is my personal favorite way to do this is to use embed codes. And you might be thinking, embed codes, those are kind of tedious. Isn't that a big ordeal? Well, I make a lot of online courses. And so this is actually an online course about malware that we made that talks about what malware is. And that video is embedded here, right? So this is where I work and I put this in. All I need to do this is Rise 360. If you're not familiar with it, it's a course authoring software. It's really popular. You can just put in a video module and I can drop in that embed and this is gonna show up here. And you might think like, why is that better than an MP4? Well, I'll show you because this was a game changer for me. I don't need to ever change this again if I don't want to. If something about this video changes, I don't need to come into Rise 360 to change it. I just need to change it in Studio. Basically what happens is we've got different versions of videos. So if I publish my first version and then I realize, oh no, we want to change the third tip, or we want to tell them to contact a different team if they have a problem with the malware, I can actually just go in and edit the video. And this is going to create a new version of my video. The old version is still what's hosted in Rise. That embed code is still only pointing at the published version of my video. I can make edits, I can change things, I can give her a new accent, I can do all sorts of different things here. It won't change what's happening to the embedded version of my video until I eventually come back here and I publish the new version. And so I can actually switch if I wanted to. I could go to version 1, hit republish, and I could hit publish and it's going to replace it. Same thing if I made a version 3, until I hit publish, no one's going to see that. But now I know that all I need to do is publish this video, and whether people are in the course or not, they're just going to see the new version. So it's way easier to manage your content. This would have saved me, I'm not joking you, like months of my life as an instructional designer. Just downloading and uploading content took me so much time. And so this is one of my favorite things, is that we integrate with any LMS or any video hosting software that you might have, because very few on the market right now do not have this embed option. And it's going to make your content management game just like a million times easier. I literally clapped the day they announced this one because it was such a game changer for me as an instructional designer. And so super, super easy to do that. If you wanted to, make a whole new version of this video, if you wanted to do, say, the German language version, you can also always just duplicate this content and start afresh. But if you want to keep that continuous editing, you always have this option to be able to kind of do the versioning. And so that is, my biggest obstacles that I've faced. I feel like we've addressed a lot. These were things that you all had mentioned as well. Whether you're developing training, whether you're developing, marketing content, these are going to be issues that you face at different times. And so, I just wanted to point out in the tool kind of what it is that we're able to do. And so those are kind of our obstacles that we've talked about. But I do want to, before we go on, I know we've got questions coming in the chat. I just want to address a couple FAQs before we get into that. That sometimes come up. I know that people have been asking about avatars, and we will talk about those as well, but I do want to talk about some restrictions that we do have. First is user ownership. You own everything that you make in this platform. We don't have rights to it. It'll never show up anywhere else. It's completely secure. No one else will see it unless you share it out into the world. So you own this content forever. There have been things with AI recently where there are, ChatGPT, you don't own what you make using things with some of these products. You own everything that you make here. I also want to point out though that there are usage limitations. We do moderate our content. We want to make sure that this platform is safe and good for people to be using. So there can't be any discrimination or profanity. We do moderate our scripts for that. And so if we catch you doing that, we basically just kick you out. And also we do have some limitations on what the avatars can do. So for stock avatars, like the one that we saw in the original video, she's not able to be used in all use cases, specifically things talking about, like alcohol and drugs or gambling, things that, are kind of ethically dubious from person to person. You might think they're really okay, but the actor who made that avatar might not agree. And so instead of putting words in their mouth that they might not agree with, we instead just ask that you make your own avatar. So my avatar can say a lot more than what not a lot more, a little more than what a stock avatar could say. So we do have those limitations. And the reason that we do that is just to make sure that this product stays really safe and wholesome for everybody to use. And that's resulted in us working with some of the biggest brands in the world today. So these limitations that we kind of put in place are all meant to be a way to, protect the product, make sure it's being used for the best use cases, for the most exciting content, and not being used in any sort of malicious way. And so that's kind of everything that I wanted to tell you guys about today. Just to recap real quick before we get into the questions, I just want to remind you that you don't need fancy equipment or software anymore to make videos. We're in this new world where you have a studio in your browser and you can make fantastic video with it. And Studio will help make you feel like a fantastic designer, even if you're not one. We've given you the tools, we've given you the things to get started. You're going to be able to make something great, even if that isn't your strongest skill set. Also, you can take your video around the world with just a few clicks. Localizing is super simple with this product. You can make things in multiple languages, 22 languages. It's not going to take the time that it used to. Also, collaboration is a breeze. Video editing, where you have to be downloading and uploading MP4s between your team, those days are gone. You can get right in here, right in the platform, and share everything you need to with the people who matter most. And then finally, your content can stay fresh forever. Anything you need to tweak or update, it's simple to make those changes and push them out into the world. And so